Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Ryse, Son of Rome. It's actually the game that persuaded me to buy an Xbox One. I can see it like it was yesterday. I just sorted out my mortgage, a little bit left over to pay off some debt, a little bit more left over, so I ordered a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One. They came on the same day. That was a good day, I must admit. But Ryse was indeed one of the games I got with my Xbox One. I watched a YouTube video, I can't remember the channel name, but it was like this guy with a goatee and a cap with his redheaded girlfriend and two other fellas sat in the back behind them, and they played it and ripped on it, but I liked the look of it, so I was like, I'll get an Xbox One to play that, and I did. So what is Ryse, Son of Rome? In Ryse, Son of Rome, you play as Marius Titus. That's his last name. I get them mixed up, to be fair, because they both sound like first names to me, but whatever. A Roman legionary who is who starts off the game as a just bog standard legionary, but from a well-appointed family. Your dad's well respected, who is unfortunately killed by us skanky Britonish. Oi! Whoa! We're so horrible, and apparently we have 5 different models, but whatever. So we call his family off, and he's like, "You Britons!" So he gets taken in with his mate, and off we go, crusading into Britain, killing all the yobbos and asbos over there. Yes, take that, squish. Oi, you with the deer head on your head. Why have you done that? I don't know, but have it. And I really enjoy it. I mean, the problem anyone will have with this game is the lack of variety in the combat, the lack of the variety in enemies. But I really enjoy the story. I really enjoy the voice performances. It looks fantastic. If this came out today, I would be like, oh, that's the best game I've ever seen, but it wouldn't be out of place, you know? And of course it's done by Crytek on the Cry engine. I did have a little problem running it initially. I couldn't get it above like 40 frames a second, and it would frequently dip below 30. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, the PC version came out in like 2014. Why is my 3080 not handling this? And I had to go into the NVIDIA control panel and change a couple of settings in there, and that got me the result that you're currently seeing on screen, which is far more pleasant. I don't think it's dipped below 60 since doing that, and it generally is somewhere between 60 and 100, so much better, very much improved, much more enjoyable as well, because a lot of the stuff in this is timing based. So the combat itself, you have a button to strike, a button to roll, a button to block, and a button to bash fuckers in the face with your shield, which is lovely. You can mix these up by holding down attack or shield bash to do a stronger one, like a leaping one, and you aim your attacks with the left stick. And the interesting part is, for me anyway, is once you've got their health down to a certain amount, you can execute them and get a skull over their head. But there's several different types of skulls, which I'll talk about in a minute. And once the skull happens, you press right trigger and you'll go into an execution mode, and they will flash either blue or yellow, corresponding obviously to the X and Y buttons on an Xbox controller. And you have to hit that button, and the quicker you do it, the basically more benefit you get from doing that execution, because you can choose, I think it's 3 different things that you can have for execution, stuff like health, experience, things like that. I normally stick on health, so damage is the other one, I think. I literally don't use any but health. It just seems pointless, because why would you not do that? That's just, I don't get it. So, and then you go into your execution animation. You do start off with a few, but you will unlock a lot more as you go through. Not so much that you won't see the same one again and again and again as you go through the game, but it does help vary it a little bit. You can also do multi-execution, so if you have 2 guys that you've got execution skulls over the heads of, and they're in range, you press right 2 and you do one that kills them both, and you get much more in terms of, the benefit of what you've selected for executions for doing that. And it works really nicely, and I enjoy it immensely. I still can't. When I see a guy coming with a weapon, I try and block it. It's because you parry it away with your shield with pressing the A button on an Xbox controller. But sometimes when they're red, you got to roll, and by the time I've clocked that they're red, I've already pressed the block, and it's too late, and he's just going to hit me. Which is annoying, but it's entirely me, so I can't really blame the game for that. So the other types of executions you've got a red one that comes up, which is an execution of opportunity. So basically, if you hit a guy with enough hits and he's not low health, but he's kind of staggered, although it's not really, there's no stagger state as such. He just gets the red skull while he's like reeling from being hit. And you do right trigger quick. You got to be quite quick on these because they don't stay around forever. You can execute them early, basically, which is nice. And then you get one with a cracked skull, which means when you do the execution, you'll do a environmental execution. So if you've got him against the wall, you might pin him with your shield and sort of stab him in the gut, stab him in the throat. If he's next to a drop, you might just kick him off. It's all very bloody and visceral, and it feels great. You won't ever fail executions. If you press the wrong button, he just goes on the next one and you get less benefit. Which was one of the sticking points in that YouTube video I was talking about earlier, because they were like, oh, look at how fast he's doing it. And he's just getting them all wrong. He's just button mashing. Doesn't understand the concept. But they initially thought he was just a whiz at it because he did it so quick. You're just like, no, that's not how that works. Whatever. Moving along. So I think that the worst thing I can say about this game is you only ever use your Gladius and Shield, which is appropriate for a Roman Legionary. Yeah, I get it. You will use like a Scorpio, which is like a big sort of automatic crossbow, and you have Pila. I think they're called Pila. Is that right? The Roman sort of Legionary spears. And you can throw them, which is helpful for getting my archers out of the way. Oh, sorry about that. I just had a bag of cheese and onion crisps, and they're repeating. So you try and tamp that down. But one of the nice things about, you do feel pretty powerful in this game. You do feel like a fucking killing machine, which I like. I like it a lot. So, and you can do some cool shit. I mean, you get arrows fired at you from, obviously fine, you get an arrow indicator come up, it goes red, and you can block it. If you block it perfectly, you'll bounce arrow back to whoever fired at you. There's no, I actually managed to do it really nonchalantly in the footage. I hope it's in the footage that ends up in the video, because it was so cool. I just like finished fighting, just like, toom, just not even looking, just killed the guy with his own arrow. It was neat. I liked it. The storyline does take you through a fair few environments. It's not historically accurate, definitely not. Boudica, for instance, tries to sack Rome with war elephants. Pretty sure that didn't happen in real life. So, but it does give you a good lot of environments. There's forests, there's the shoreline that you fight on at one stage. Obviously Rome itself, you've been there a few times. Real deep forest, an aqueduct. There's quite a few locations that you fight through during the game itself. Isn't particularly long. You'll probably be able to finish it in about 5 or 6 hours, which is another sticking point, but it's a game. But I find that kind of helps because the enemy models aren't that varied. The faction, you have a couple of factions. Mostly it's the Britons, and the Britons with the animal skins on. Later on in the game you will fight like Roman Praetorians, I think that's what they're called, which will give you a bit more challenge because they're equipped similarly to you. They either have a gladius or a gladius and a shield. The Britons, though, outside of the two sort of factions, when they're really the same, they're just one decides to be a bit more grubby, I guess would be the term you use. So you have the regular one, which comes with an axe. You have a shield guy. You have an armored shield guy. You have a big axe guy. You have a big guy with an axe, or is it a hammer maybe? It's either an axe or a hammer, I can't remember which. You have archers and it's got sort of a dual dual swords. That's the word I was looking for. Sword was the word I forgot there. Wow, I'm getting old. He has dual swords, and like you have to block his combos and roll out of certain ones and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the guys you're going to see. There are sort of boss fights. I think there's like 3 in the entire game, but they're all very different. They're not really anything that you need to do specifically anything different with. You just have to work out what's effective against the boss in these stages. The story's great, the voice acting's great, it looks amazing, the animations are cool. And I really like it. I mean, it's obviously being a short game without much depth. I mean, being short could work for it, as I say, because of the lack of depth, so you don't get sort of annoyed by it until you finish the game, or at least nearly finish the game. There is a multiplayer mode, which you can play solo if you can't find anybody nowadays, which is nice. And it's basically a Colosseum mode, and this is the part where just having the gladiators and shield really bugs me. Because, I mean, I've literally just rewatched Spartacus, the entire show. I've just rewatched the movie Spartacus. I'm on a bit of a Roman gladiator theme. I'm like, hey, that's why I started playing this again, to be fair. And you go to the Colosseum, and it's not too bad. You get like you get in-game currency to buy booster packs. You buy the booster packs, so you get different gear, which looks different, gives you different bonuses and stuff like that, which is nice. But you've always got to have a gladius and a shield. There's no other option. You can't be any other type of gladiator. I think it's a Maramillo, isn't it? The sword and shield guy. But I mean, there were gladiators that fought with tridents and nets. There were gladiators that were armoured differently. There were gladiators that dual-wielded. You know, there were quite a few different classifications of gladiators. And yes, there were female gladiators, but they were normally pitted against each other, and because that's fair. But just being limited to the sword and shield, it bugs me. And I get it, because like they've designed the combat system specifically around that. It would be a huge task to implement more combat systems. I mean, you couldn't do that with the trident and net, for instance. It just wouldn't work. So I get why they've done it. It's just it does annoy me, though, to be fair. There are quite a good variety in the Colosseum. You have, I think, 10 maps. They're all set at different times of day. The Colosseum is pretty advanced in this game. I mean, I know they used to be able to fill it with water before they put all the sort of storage bits underneath for the animals and shit. And then they had to like dig big pits and establish sort of external stadiums if they wanted to do like naval battles. Because obviously it would just drain into the storage area underneath. But in this, it's sort of sectional, and areas will drop down and different areas will come up in their place, kind of like a really sort of advanced stage show, perhaps, which I guess it kind of is. So that's pretty cool, and it does, you'll sort of do part of it, and then it will just rejig the map and give you a new objective to go and do. It's not particularly difficult, any of them. It is just more of the same from the game, really. Occasionally you will fight other gladiators. It's not a PvP mode, so that you can play it with another player. It will support up to 2 players. You go in and do the various scenarios from the different maps. There's a commentator that basically explains what's going on, and there's one. So it's good. It is good. I mean, it's fun to play, but if you're bored of the main game, this isn't going to really alleviate your boredom, because it's doing the same thing. But I mean, I'm not going to go into the story. There are some sort of mystical elements, and you do assume the identity of a mythical figure for a little while, which is pretty neat. You're just like, oh yeah, badass time. But I won't go too much into it, because I want you to play it if you can. I mean, it is available on Steam, or of course on Xbox One. I don't know if it's on the digital store for the series, because I'm booting up my Xbox One in donkeys. Because most of the stuff that I had on that, I've now got on PC and it runs better. So, yeah. As demonstrated by Ryse, sort of. In fact, I think I've sold most of my Xbox One games because there's no point. I've got it on PC, so I'm like, well, I'm not just going to have a disc set there, so let's sell that sucker. Anyway. I think I bought the wrong Xbox when it came to my first Xbox, in all fairness. I think the 360 or the Series would have probably been more impressive to me, but I mean, Microsoft don't really care about Xbox, so why should I, right? Anyway guys, that's me done for this week. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.